2, 3. All right. Looks like we've got output. We've got output. And it is now time to paint all the things right here in the pocket dimension. Hey, Miar, good to see you. Thanks for subscribing for 14 months. My goodness. To all a well day. Yes, today is hopefully a well day. It is. It's actually a little wet here. We've been having some thunderstorms. So let's see. And I am. Well, what in the world? Okay, here we go. Alright, get this pop outs going. So we can see what we can see. Pop out the chat. There. Here. I like the pop out chat. I've been trying to get the Social Stream Ninja to work, but it's just not doing the thing. So let's go over here, and I'm going to pop out the chat. Just bear with me as we get the chat popped out, popping it out like a pimple. And here we go. Oh, come on now. I need to get a stronger computer here eventually. Here we go. Well, where is it? Oh. Let's see. It's over here. Here we go. Yes. And we'll pop the chat out here. Pop out. Okay. Now, we've got all the pop outs. And pop out here, and one more pop out. Alright, here we go. Alright, got all the pop outs. Well, for crying out loud. Here we go. We got the YouTube pop out. We got the Rumble pop out. We got the Twitch pop out. All the pop outs are popped out. So here we go. Starting up the close cam. And here we go. Alright, close cam, are you not working? Oh. Here we go. I hit the face cam, not the close cam. What a cam. What a scam. Scam cam. Alright, here we go. Alright, I just gotta get like a little 10-inch auxiliary screen, I think, here eventually. Well, anyhow, so Miar was over here on the Twitch side. So it's got an incoming ad break. So That's okay. All right. Okay. All right, here we go. Here we are, folks. Painting all the things we are working on the monthly monster. Now, I wasn't here last Thursday. I think I wasn't here last Thursday. I don't think I was. I think I was under the weather. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and work on these some more. I'm going to throw a purple wash on them just to kind of darken up some of this blue, hopefully. We'll see how it works. And we'll do this. And we'll thin this wash up just a little bit. And see if we can add a little more interest to this blue here. So I'm going to put my visor on here so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah. Old eyes. Getting old is awful. And when you count on your eyes to do so much work, it's even awfuler. So we're going to just draw that back in here. I'm going to pile up the purple. Try to fake a little gradient if we can. Just kind of break up that blue just a little bit with a color that's right next to it. Kind of do some interesting things. So hopefully everybody's having a pretty decent week so far. I tell you, today felt like it should be the middle of the week, and the week has barely started, you know. But it's kind of like that when you're me. kind of, we're kind of short-handed, and I work alone a lot, so it's hard to motivate sometimes. Somehow I get there. Nope, Butterfingers. That purple kind of darkens up the blue a little bit. But since it's just a wash, the highlights that I've dry brushed in should still come out pretty well. So at least that's what I tell myself. We're going to go with it. blend that ink or that wash back in there. It's not really an ink, it's a wash. So, but it makes a nice little gradient going on there. Add a little water and just kind of thin it off just a little. Give it a little translucent quality, maybe. Maybe enhance some of these body plates here too. So pick that up just a little bit. Pick some of it off. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. See if we can get some of these plates to separate some of these plates a little bit more, just with this this purple here. Don't want to necessarily give it a whole wash all over and darken everything down. I just want to kind of get that right in that where those armor plates overlap a little bit. Just give a little more definition. That's the plan anyway. And if it's not working, that's okay. It's just paint. We can go back over it later on. So we're going to set that aside and let that dry. And we're going to go up to the big Remorhaz and do the same thing. Same thing. I'm going to go along the edge here. We're going to let that purple wash give us a little more definition on those armor plates. Because even though I do have a darker blue with a lighter blue over top of it, having a nice deeper purple in there as the shadow, I think, especially since ink has a little bit of a gradient to it. Well, this isn't ink, this is actually a wash. So now an ink tends to be a little more sticky, I've found, and it doesn't want to move around the way a wash does. So that's something to keep in mind if you ever want to try inks as opposed to washes. Inks want to sometimes stick to the work, and they'll really change your color a little bit more fiercely than a wash does. Washes want to sort of soak into those cracks and crevices, whereas inks, if they sit on a flat spot, that's what the color is going to be. They are just a little, they can be a little bit too much for themselves there. So So washes are not inks, and inks are not washes. You can manipulate an ink to do a wash with it, but you have to be very. I've found personally that I have to be very careful with inks because they don't act the way you expect. I was expecting an ink to act the way a wash acted, but it did not. So you may have to curb your expectations. So that turned out pretty neat, pretty decent. So do the same thing over here on this side. I did one side because it's such a large critter here. So we'll do the same thing again over here. And we'll let this wash do what the wash wants to do. So, folks, we've got a new game store in town. Well, it's not really new. We had it before, but the gentleman was getting home way too late in the evenings, and it was at the time he had a real job, like a real job. He owned another company. He did the game store, comic store on the side, kind of a side hustle, but anyhow, looks like we're gonna get some people starting to play some 40K, which is fine. Hopefully, I can introduce them to other cool games. Hopefully, they won't be so siloed into the 40K that they are unwilling to try other cool things. Are you a 40K player or are you a wargamer? That's something that people should probably ask themselves. Because Warhammer is not my hobby. It's part of my hobby. If you think Warhammer is the hobby, then I'm sorry, but you got another thing coming, folks. Is it your part? Is it your favorite part of the hobby? That's a completely different discussion. If it's your thing, great. But it is not the only thing. Some people, that's just all they play. That's all they want to play. It's like some people just like to eat McDonald's. It's like going to New York City and going to one of the finest ethnic restaurants you could ever want to go to and ordering a hamburger. I mean, why would you go to a nice restaurant and limit yourself to a hamburger? Now, granted, if there are some restaurants, some nice gourmet restaurants that actually have interesting hamburgers, but hamburger to me is something which you would eat maybe lunch generally. But if you're going to a nice restaurant with a nice sit down meal, I want something that's a fork and knife meal, you know. Personally, but I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Warhammer is not the hobby. It's only part of the hobby. That's what I was going with that. All right, well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. All right. Well, let's set those aside and let the ink dry on them. We'll let the washes dry. It's raining outside, so that might take a little time for those to dry themselves. So while we're waiting for that to happen, let's go ahead and yeah, let's continue painting on some of these little scenery pieces. Looks like I'm a little bit low on the water in my metallics cup. All right. So the thing about barrels and crates and terrain like that is you can use it anywhere. You can use it in a science fiction setting, you can use it in a Wild West setting, you can use it in a fantasy setting, you can use it in a historical setting, everywhere from merry old England to merry New England. So now science fiction barrels and crates might look a little bit different. But that's okay too. And things you can do, maybe they're squared off. If you like barrels and crates, you should get yourself a handful of the ones at Sea Dog Game Studios. So check out my friends at seadoggamestudios.com. They've got barrels and crates and scenery pieces, modern to science fiction to your old regular style barrels and crates like you'd normally want to see in most of your pre 20th century type settings. So check them out. Now I don't get anything for that by any means, but check them out. Of course, I do get a little something for the next plug. My next plug is for W Energy Drink. And if you like energy drinks, Dubby's pretty good. I've not had a problem with a crash down from it. Um, and I don't get the jitters, even though it has a caffeine. What's called, I think it's coffee fruit, and I don't get. It doesn't give me the jitters, but I only take one. I only ever do one serving of it too. So, which is all they recommend you take is one serving. But if you go to w.gg and use my code ROKKITFUEL Rocket Fuel, you'll get 10% off of your order, and it will help out the channel. It'll help me grow. And I'm not very tall, so I need to be able to grow a little bit. Now, as you probably recognize, I don't have the greatest equipment, so help to grow would be dandy. So why don't you do a Patreon? Because I don't have enough people to follow on a regular basis to do a Patreon. But if you're interested in helping the channel, if you subscribe on Twitch, you become part of the monthly Monster Club, which puts you in the running to win a monthly monster that I paint up here on channel. Of course, this month's, that's April's monthly monster was the Remorhaz, which I'm working on right now. Okay, not right this moment, but right now in the sense of they are what is on the desk right now. So I have both of them up for the drawing. So I'll actually do drawing for two of them since I missed March. We're going to make up for March. So So just a few little bits of scenery here and there. It'd be nice to put things out there. I've got a whole tackle box full of this type of stuff right behind me. So that's pretty cool. I can do a nice layout with all that sort of thing. Maybe do a warehouse. Maybe I could have like rebels fighting the Empire and they're trying to get supplies off of a primitive backwater world that still uses old style wood and iron crates. Who knows? It's a thought, right? clean out this brush before we put it away for the time being. And I may not go too late tonight. I generally go till 11, but I may go a little earlier. Because why not? It's my channel, I can do what I want, right? It's my channel, and I'll end early if I want. So I'm just cleaning out the brush with some brush soap here. And we'll rinse it out, give it a good rinse, and put it back in the holder here. All right. So let's see if everything's dried up yet. Substantially, nope. Still wet. Still a little bit wet. I kind of thought that it might be because of it raining outside. So while we wait for that to dry up, let's work on this little piece of scenery. And yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is get some khaki here. And what's this other color? Stone gray. Stone gray is pretty neat. This might be an interesting color for these mushrooms. So let's go ahead and paint these mushrooms on this thing. All right. What we got here? Yep. Okay, that's a good and creamy. Nice. All right. So let's go ahead and paint these mushrooms up. I'm not going super heavy. I'm just going to let the black undercoat do some shading for me. I'm not going to get too crazy about it. Which is kind of an amateurish way to go about it, but, you know, I'm okay. I'm an amateur anyway, so check it out. Alright, so that's a good color for the stems on those things, I think. And let's go ahead and give some interesting color to the to that. Let's try pink. Just straight up pink from Vallejo Model Color. We'll do a couple of them in pink, a couple in blue, maybe one or two in red, purple. We'll do all sorts of neat things with those mushrooms. So. Alright, let's do some blue ones. Alright, we're going to use some Vallejo Model Color, or sorry, Vallejo Game Color, blue. Actually, this is magic blue, so it's a very bright blue. So we're going to use that. need to paint the stems on these ones on the top of the idle here. So they had Mike Francina on Build Paint Play this evening. He is one of the artists behind Trench Crusade. Kind of gives an interesting little insight as to how that game came about. So if you get a chance, you should go and check out the VOD on YouTube for tonight's episode of Build Paint Play. Definitely do that if you get a chance. I guess Trench Crusade is the new hotness in the miniatures agnostic gaming space. But it can't be too miniatures agnostic because they've got their own STLs. And kind of have their own aesthetic to the world, you know. So it's interesting. Personally, it's not the game for me. I don't need another game, you know. I am kind of interested to know what the mechanics are like, though. Alright, and then some red. Nice bright reds. Let's see. Let's use this heavy red by Vallejo Game Color Extra Opaque. Alright, a little extra opaque red here. See where this takes us. Start out with some red. And that'll get us past the black, because red over black usually doesn't work very well. But if you use a darker red, something with that skews more towards brown, that's a good idea. Speaking of colors that go over black very well with a high level of opacity, while I was at Adepticon this past month, last month, wow, um, I had the occasion to try out a paint company called Bear Cavalry, Bearcavary, Bear Cavalry, and they have a really good product. Their white is very creamy, not chalky at all, actually, and it went right over black primer, black undercoat, like nobody's business. I mean, never mind, it went right over, you know. So, every time I turn this piece, I find a new mushroom in a different place that I didn't see before. Almost like they're popping up like mushrooms. Almost. Maybe do some yellow ones. But yeah, if you get a chance to try out Bear Cavalry paints, give them a shot. They're pretty good, very opaque. Um, Made right here in the United States. That's not that that's important to me on any moral or patriotic level, but the way things are going as far as tariffs and the like, it might be a good thing to keep in mind what you can get here in the states and support local businesses. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Vallejo. Seems like they got their issues worked out, And there's nothing wrong with Army Painter, but who knows how long it'll be easy to get those, right? So having onshore options is not a bad thing for those of you who live here on the North American continent, lower 48, so to speak. Hey, Kristen Seeger, how is it going? Oh, thank you. Looks cool. This is the uh, old Goblin Idol from, what was that? 7th edition, 6th edition, 7th edition, 7th edition, 7th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So, been seeing some good figures and miniatures coming out of you. Some of your works are pretty fantastic. So congratulations on making good progress in your hobby. I see you over there on DD Mini's Discord, and I think you post some things up on my Discord as well. So folks, if you haven't got a chance to follow Kirsten on Instagram, I think she's on Instagram. Do you post your minis on Instagram at all, Kristen? I can't remember if you do or not. But anyhow, good to see you tonight. Glad you're here. So, all right, let's see. I'm going to put an ochre down on some of these that are going to be yellow. Some of them haven't posted anything. Haven't posted anything for a while. Oh, okay. Let's see. Skin tone. What we got here? Heavy brown. I want to find an ochre here. I've got an ochre. There's a yellow ochre, but it's air. I don't like that. Let's see. Troll claws. That's kind of an ochre. I like using ochre as a base for yellow because it's close. It's kind of in between yellow and brown. I think brown is maybe too brown sometimes for base coating yellow, and a lot of people say use pink to base coat yellow, and you can do that, but I think you get a little bit more warmth using an ochre color. This is kind of an ochre color. I had an ochre that actually called itself ochre, but I don't know where it is, and that's pretty weird because oh, here it is. Green ochre. I've got a yellow ochre as well. What is it? Okay. Well, I'm not going to have to use troll claws. I'll use the green ochre, which the funny thing about the green ochre is it's very yellow anyway, so anyhow, a little noise. It's been a little while since I've used that. So, all right, so I'm using a little bit of green ochre to base where I want the yellow to be. Let's see what Kristen has put up on Instagram here. If my computer will Be smart about it. Come on. My computer's not being smart. Well, folks, go ahead and check out her Instagram link there. Oh, wait a minute. Open link in new tab. Yes. Let's see if we can find that without wrecking everything else. Let's take a look at Kristen's work here. Slow loading. Slow loading. Slow, slow, slow loading. Slow loading. Because I have an old computer. It's also been raining to beat the band here the last couple of hours. We've kind of been under a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is what it is, right? Where is the Instagram? Here we go. Okay, all right. Little wizard with a big hat and a big axe. Very cool. Very cool, very cool. 4 weeks ago. It's kind of a nice change, a little sketchy style there. Kind of a change from your usual method there, Kristen, but looks good. Probably a work in progress. I'm sure that you're going further than this. I think, knowing your previous work, looks like you're getting ready to do a little bit of non-metallic metal there. Very cool. Looks good. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that with us there, Kristen. Sometimes you don't even have to finish a model or a miniature. Sometimes if you're just doing something interesting and you want to try something different, just try a different method. There's nothing that says you have to take it all the way to the end. So remember that, folks. Sometimes it is we have a hobby adventure. Some people call it a hobby journey. My miniatures journey. Well, it's not really a journey, it's an adventure because you never know what's going to happen. When you start putting paint on your figures or on a piece, you don't know what's the what was it that Frodo was saying that Bilbo said? Mind your feet, you don't know where they're going to take you when you walk out the door. Yes, so same thing with painting miniatures. You never know where it's going to take you. What you're doing is going to take a left turn and take you into a different direction than where you intended. There's nothing wrong with changing your plan in midstream. It's probably one of the only hobbies you can do that. Well, you could do that with, say, like painting on canvases too, I'm sure. Painting happy little trees, so to speak. Just kind of see where it takes you, you know. My first attempt at non-metallic metal, it's definitely a work in progress. All right. I have not really ever tried non-metallic metal. The closest I think the closest I've ever gotten was um, like highlighting like a gray. I took a gray and I highlighted it with silver. So I've never been one to try some of these more advanced methods. I've got the way I paint pretty well down to the way I paint, and a lot of these tricks. That's not a nice way to say it, but a lot of these all these more more artistic methods are a little bit beyond me, quite honestly. So it's not that I'm against using them. I'm not. It's just something I've never really taken much time to get into. It always looks so tedious to me, personally. What I like to do is I like to take black, and then I'll use a darker silver, and I'll use a lighter silver. You know, I'm pretty bare bones when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't even know what I would do would be qualified calling it as, say, true metallic metals. Because even then, I don't really go into a lot of the extra detail type work. I don't even try to do what they do with non-metallic metals with regular metallics, because you can do that, and that's what a lot of people call the true metallics. The true metallic metal, where they get a lot of those same results or similar results by using metallics instead of using the grayscale or brown to yellow scale for gold or bronze or brass colors, you know. So it's a little bit beyond me. I've never really tried it much, quite honestly. So here is tonight's progress on the Remorhaz. Doesn't look like much, but I knocked down some of the dry brushing. I used a purple wash to kind of give a little more definition between the body segments there. Same thing. Same thing here. So I think the focus point of these particular figures are going to be the faces. So I think the next session we'll be working on the faces. Maybe the legs. May do a different color on the legs. I'm not really sure where to go with these. I thought about doing some really interesting shapes and colors on the side fins. I thought that might be interesting, but I don't know. I don't really know where to take it. But definitely, I'm looking forward to doing the face, because that's a face that only a mother could love, right there. So we'll see how that works out for us. I may have to do some searching on the internet webs to see what they recommend. So I'm going to use Pro-Acryl Golden Yellow to do the yellows. Actually, I'm going to let the yellow ones wait for a minute or two, and I'm going to get a bright red. I'm going to use Holly Berry. This is Holly Berry from Reaper, and I'm going to use that on the red mushrooms there. So And some of these mushrooms might get some spots too. I don't know. Again, I haven't thought that far ahead on it. All right, so this is very bright red here. So let's just get stuck in on the red then. Hey Myar, good to see you again, buddy. Saw you in here earlier, but I guess you must have had something to take care of. So it can be like that sometimes. Had to shower. Well, that's important. You want to do that at least once a week. Twice a month maybe if you really need to. You know who doesn't shower? Goblins. Goblins don't shower. Goblins, they come into the dwarf lands and they set up their pagan idols. And they capture our dwarven brothers and imprison them in their evil idols to their wacky little gods. Sounds like your oldest. Hope not. So how's Miar doing tonight? After a shower. Must have been a hard day at work if you come home and do a shower right off. So I was working on the monthly monster a little earlier, and what I did, it doesn't look like I did much, but I actually took the purple wash and I washed between the armor plates on the body and gave the side fins a little wash just to give a little more definition. So it kind of blended some of that dry brushing back together a little bit, so it doesn't look quite so harsh. But I did have to let it sit and dry for a little while, so I really didn't get a whole lot done. But I think next session we'll probably work on the faces a little bit. So, doing well. It's starting to get warm here. Yeah, it's getting warm here too. We just had a heavy thunderstorm go through this evening. I was kind of wondering if I was gonna stream just because we had the thunderstorm go through. I thought I might have to start shutting things down. Wouldn't want it to get zapped. So, but I didn't. You can tell there is some depth. Yeah, there is some depth. It did add quite a bit between the plates there. So it'll come along. So bear with me. We'll be doing we'll be doing the drawing on that before too long. So, all right, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Pro Acryl Golden Yellow here. Here we go. Pro Acryl Golden Yellow for the yellow mushrooms. Excuse me, sneezers. So, there's a yellow mushroom right there. And some cat hair on the palette, because that's always a good thing to have. Now this is Pro Acryl. The yellow is not too bad. But if you notice, I feel like it's still a little thinner than I would like. Now, I tried a new paint line at Adepticon. It's called Bear Cavalry. Bearcavalry. Bear Cavalry. Bear Cavalry paints. And their yellow is a thing of wonder. Yellow and white. They've got it nailed. They've got it dialed in, man. I'll tell you what. Some really good product there. So, check them out. They are online. Check them out. And they sell, obviously it's a little on the more expensive side, but they sell bottles in 20 milliliter. They sell like 20 milliliter bottles. They're huge. They're like the size of a 50 caliber shell. Pretty wild. Huge bottle of paint. I mean, you can buy it in 10 milliliters as well. But Bear Cavalry paint. Check them out if you get a chance. But their white is really great. And so is their yellow. Went right over black with no show through at all. And creamy. Very creamy. It's a company called Bear Cavalry, Bear Cavalry, Cavalry, Bear Cavalry. So think of like riding a bear. Bear Cavalry. But check them out. At least check out their website. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, or else I'd be using their paints. I don't get any consideration for recommending them. I'm just telling you that they exist. And I'm not even really recommending. I'm just telling you that they exist. That's pretty much where I'm at. There seems like there's a new paint company every time you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a new paint company. Probably because it's low barrier to entry. You find somebody that knows what they're doing, material science, and you look at what other people have done and what you like, and replicate their results, figure out how they did it, and then figure out how you're going to do it. Just seems like there's a new one coming up every few months or so. Paint wars, you know. I mean, who's gonna come out on top? You know, we got our big ones. Of course, there's Citadel. P3 is coming out again. Let's pick up a little yellow, put it in this red. Of course, if I do that, that might cause problems. I don't know. If I do that, it might not break off from the orange part that it's sitting on. It might blend too much back in there. I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing is there's a lot of companies that I mean, like I said, you probably wouldn't unless you were where they are. Miar. I mean, these companies they just kind of they're kind of popping up like mushrooms, so to speak. Um, but like you've got your Monument Hobbies, and you got Citadel and Monument Hobbies, and you've got uh, Army Painter, and you've got P3 and Coat d'Arms, which is still old, but it's still going on. Coat d'Arms is still around. Um, got all sorts of little companies. Let's see, Scale 75. I think they're still around. Vallejo, of course. You know, Two Thin Coats. Duncan's little company. You know. All right. Hooray for the bots. Ban and report. Block. Block and report. Let's see. Bot at time. What? An hour, 1 hour, and 45. All right. Got to keep on banning those bots. Just takes time. Time, right? Get her done. Yeah, right? Uh, so Thursday, I probably won't be streaming because I've got to be out of town for work. So, FYI, no stream on Thursday, unfortunately. My skills, my traditional skills are required. My skills as a tradesman. There it is. My skills as a tradesman are required elsewhere. So it's coming right along. Pretty good here. Let's see. Might use some yellow on these blues. Let's do some stripes. Make these give a little interest to these little guys. Just making them solid colors is kind of boring. Let's give them a little bit of pizzazz. What do you say? Let's make them look like they are really interesting. Are there any other blue mushrooms down low? No. There is a blue mushroom up high. We'll go ahead and address that. May my skills be very helpful. I hope so. I hope so. So that's interesting. All right, let's get a little bit of white here. Got some white here. Let's see. White. White. I got... What color whites do I have? How come I've got my whites down low here with my blacks and the whites never show up here where they're supposed to be? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Linen white. I don't want linen white. I want my cold white. Blacks. There's whites. All right. Foundation white. All right. Well, that's not wanting to come out, is it? There's no reason for it to not come out. Alright, well, it is what it is. I'll put it back up here. We'll get out the cold white. There we go. We'll mix her up a little. Put a little blue in there, just because, why not? And we'll use some, we'll just kind of throw some dots. Throw some dots on the red ones. Little polka dots. All right. Looking really good, Miar says. Well, thank you, Miar. It's just a little side project, you know, it's nothing really big and fancy, but it's coming right along. I think it's kind of fun. I was looking at a picture from when this was in production, and evidently that's supposed to look like the stone. This rock is supposed to go up here, and then this rope or whatever this is, this cable is tied around it. But I would think that this would actually be part of whatever material this is, and it would kind of be slid down, socketed down over it, and then that rope would be tied on to whatever that was socketed over. That's my thought on it. But yeah, I think I'm going to set it aside, though. I think it's time to go to bed. I hate to say it, folks. It is that time. Usually I go till 11, but I think I didn't sleep real good last night, so I think I need to maybe try to get a few extra winks in tonight. And I can make another go at it tomorrow. So we're going to say goodnight to YouTube And good night to Rumble. And then we're going to raid out on Twitch. So good night to YouTube. And good night to Twitch. Good night to Rumble.